What's up, love bugs? Thank y'all for joining me on another segment of Sentimentally Speaking. I have a dope, wonderful, chocolate, loving, superb couple here with me. They are not new to me at all, but they might be new to my viewers. So I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
I'm Mrs. Carter.
Mr. Carter.
Okay, we got the Carters in the building. And we ain't talking about Jay-Z and Beyonce. We are talking about our very
Okay.
own 518 bred and born. Love it. Well, not bred and born because you wagwan. Wagwan.
That's what I want.
I'm here for it. So let's just jump right in it, right? I'm so grateful that y'all chose to join me because everybody who knows me, who knows Vi, I'm your favorite queen of heart. I love everything about love. I love seeing it. I love hearing it. I love watching it. I love reading it. I love witnessing. I just love feeling it. I love it. And I've had the pleasure of watching y'all love on one another for close to 2 decades. What is the exact number of years y'all been married?
18.
18. What's up, God? And y'all, is it July?
July 15th.
July
Like,
15th
like the
makes
Neo
18 years.
song. March July
Okay.
15th.
Wait, the So Sick of Love songs
Yeah,
one?
type shit.
Fair.
Not us though.
So for almost 2 decades, y'all have been able to make it work, right? So I want to start there because people our age, that's kind of unheard of. How old were you guys when y'all got married?
I was probably 24 or something like that.
I'm 40 now, 18 years ago, so 22.
22? Wow. So y'all got that. First of all, that I'm just gonna clap that up because that in and of itself, to be married so young and still being able to be where you are today. My first question to y'all is how have y'all kept the connection so strong for all these years? I'm asking you, Mr. Carter. What do you think has been a contributing factor to you and Mrs. Carter maintaining for 18 years?
Um, I would say just the love, the feeling that I get when I see her, still to this day. Um, Seeing my peoples out there and what they go through, and I haven't had to go through any of that. Like you said, 22 married, but we've been together for 22 years, married for 18. So do the math. I was a babe. I was still a child. I mean, it's
Mm.
really the only woman since my adulthood that I've ever been with.
Oh, I want to circle back to that. But first, I'm going to ask you, what what was it that made you say at 20 or 22, we're going to do this commitment thing? Like people don't even know what the frick they want to eat for dinner, let alone going up in front of God and taking a vow. And I'll never forget, I'm at the wedding, I'm sitting in the pew, and they doing the vows, and Mrs. Carter was like, forever and ever. I
Yeah. Yes.
this is why I like husband not ever leave her. But at such a young age, what was it that said we're gonna do this marriage thing before y'all even, knew yourselves personally?
Well, what I can say, I grew up with a mother and father in my household. You know what I mean? So I seen it from an early age. And they say it's crazy, but from the time I knew she was the one, and I don't know how or why or what it was, but we fit together the right way. It was a missing puzzle. It was a missing puzzle piece.
And how old is y'all oldest child?
20.
Just turned 20 on
Okay, so y'all
24th
had the
last
baby.
month.
Was that a contributing factor to getting married?
I wouldn't say so.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Okay, good. So you had a
not
baby.
not absolutely not, but like I just want to make sure that it's clear like we didn't get married because of like having a baby. You know what I mean? Like
It's crazy to sound. We had talked about marriage
but
from a first year in.
yeah. Yep.
Seriously.
Hmm. Okay. So the baby wasn't a contributing factor, but I think, like you said, Mr. Carter, just being in a two-parent household, seeing your parents do it, that was the norm for you. That's what you had. How about for you, Mrs. Carter? Was there anything that influenced your decision, or was it just the love for your man?
I was raised by a single mom, and my mom didn't have boyfriends, so I didn't see any of that. And growing up, I didn't see like married couples or anything like that. But when I met my husband, he definitely was nothing like no guy I've ever dated. You know what I mean? He was saying all the right things, doing all the right things, and was consistent. Like, it wasn't just, he wasn't saying, I'm gonna pick you up at 5, and then he, didn't come at, like, if he said he was gonna be there, he was there. You know what I mean? So I never dreamed of like being married. I knew I was going to be a mom, but when I met him and we started talking about like the future, I was like, okay, well, I'm with it. Like, so it was what it was.
It was what it was. Okay. Now, culturally, right? Is there now I didn't know too many Black American individuals and Jamaican. Like I just didn't know. Was that ever an issue for y'all culturally in terms of what you because you weren't born here, right, Mrs. Carter? You came
No.
here. So you lived in your home country of Jamaica and you seen how the couples interacted. And Adonji, you grew up in a typical Black American and we could say that our cultures are different for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But was there ever any cultural clash in terms of how you raise your children, how you love on one another, how you treat one another, what you expect from one another? Okay, I see you nodding, Mr. Carter. Go ahead.
Culturally, yes, very different. I grew up in a very affectionate household. Um, you see each other, you give each other with a hug and kiss, say I love you before you leave, when you enter the house, all of that. Very touchy feely. Like I can give my mother and father a kiss on the cheek when I see them, when I leave them. Um, I think that spilled over into my kids. I'm very affectionate with my children. Very there.
Mm, very much present, very
Very
much
much.
a dad. Okay, Mrs. Carter, how was that for you? Were you not an affectionate person? Is that why he brings that up?
I wasn't raised with affection. You kind of just know. Like, I never doubted that my mom loved me. My dad wasn't in my life. So I didn't really, there wasn't like a gap for me. I didn't really feel the loss of a dad growing up. But culturally, you just know. I just knew that my mom loved me by the way she took care of us. So when we moved in together, that's how I showed my love, by taking care of the house and doing all of those things. Definitely was a stressor at some point in our marriage, just because of the
Mm,
way we were raised. Like, if he didn't hug me, I didn't think he didn't love me. But I learned that if I didn't hug him or touch him or whatever, he may feel that I'm not loving him or in love with him and stuff like that, which was far from the truth.
mm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I remember we had an event at my house and we did the love
Uh-huh.
languages and yours was physical touch, right, Don?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. What was yours, Mrs. Carter? Acts of
Um,
service?
It's
Acts of
changed.
service.
It
Yeah.
changed a couple times, but
It
I-
changed now.
okay, acts of service. So then that makes sense. It's like do what you need to do, contribute towards the household. That's how I feel loved. And he's like, give me a hug, cuddle up next to me. That's how I feel loved. And that was a challenge for y'all. So at what point did y'all be like, we got to fix this and, make sure that y'all each felt the love in the way you understood it?
Well, my husband is very he's not as verbally expressive. Like, he was shut down, and I'm a talker. So I would want, he wouldn't like tell me, these things. And then I found out later, like, that it wasn't whatever, however I was pouring into him, what I thought I was pouring into him, how I was loving him was just, it was so wrong, like, and we both had to figure out ways to love each other in the ways that we both receive love. We're still working at it. You know what I mean? And it's a beautiful thing. It's way better than what I was doing before. I tell you that.
I love that. Did y'all have to secure any external assistance, like through therapy or counseling? Or was it just, kind of grinding through it and saying, listen, whatever we're doing, it's not working and we need to make this work because we still love each other?
well, like you said, that it was years. Like you said, I'm not as talkative as her. I say I'm a man. I don't speak as much as about my feelings. I'm kind of just go with the flow, suck it up, deal with it. As a man, that's how, at one point at least, I thought it should be. So I can say I went years and years without really expressing how I felt. I'll say about for years she did ask to go to marriage counseling, try to get us on the same page and things like that. I was against it for years against it. No, no, no. It did come to a a tipping point where I felt like that it was time and it did need to happen. So I did agree about 5 years ago,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
give or take. About
Yeah.
5 years ago, I did agree to do marriage counseling. As much as I would like to say that it wasn't something, it was much needed and it helped a lot.
That's awesome. I gotta ask, right? And you could choose not to answer this, but I would be doing myself as an interviewer and our viewers a disservice if I didn't ask this. One thing you said, Donji, is that you don't know what it was, but you met your wife, you loved her, and you knew you wanted to be with her. And you said she's the only woman you've been with in your adult years. You also mentioned for a while you were deprived of that thing, right? That act of physical touch that made you feel loved by her. How did you prevent yourself from seeking that from somewhere else that could have completely ruined your marriage as a whole?
What else?
I didn't want it from anyone else. I wanted it from her. That's just what it was. I wanted it from her. I wasn't looking from it from anyone else.
That's literally what he would say. That
Okay.
I mean, anybody could cheat. You know what I mean? Anyone could step out. Anyone could get that. He could cheat. I could cheat. Where whatever the case may be. But we dated, or we talked for like 3 months before we became official. And we talked about deal breakers and all these different things. And that was one of them for me. I don't know, even with reasoning, if if I was if I wasn't loving my husband the way he wanted to be loved, and my husband felt like he needed to step out on me, I don't know how I would have came back from that. So I appreciate that we were able to work through things.
I know I won't come back from it.
I was gonna say, because that literally was a deal breaker for us. Like, no breaks. That was one. Like, no breaks.
All these years, not one break.
No breaks.
No, none of that.
That was his rule. No breaks.
No what?
Breaks. Like, we couldn't take breaks from each other.
Okay.
Locked in, no matter what. Like, I don't care if you're mad. We here though. Ain't no going nowhere else. That was one of the main things that attracted me to her from the beginning. As a man, or who I am, I don't want nobody that somebody else has had that I know. Albany is small Albany. So for me, I locked in somebody that was from Jamaica, went to the city, moved from the city. Within the first month of her moving here, we started interacting. I can't go out there and have nobody tell me they've been with my wife. Nobody. So for me, you know what I mean? So that's what I want. That's what I'm working towards. I'm not trying to go get nobody else's leftovers. Personally, that's just how I look at it. Wrong, right, or indifferent, that's how I look at it.
Like it. It sounds like y'all did what works best for y'all. And it sounds like y'all entered this commitment truly committed to the commitment itself. It's like, no matter what, we're not walking away. So I think when you already go in it with that mindset, then you know that you have to work it out. Whatever it is, we have to figure it out. Even if I don't want to do therapy counseling, even if I don't want to fucking hug, even if I don't feel like doing X, Y, and Z, but this is what I need. And if you're saying we're going to be together regardless, then these are the concessions and that need to be made and the changes that need to take place.
Right.
Cheating isn't a deal breaker. I mean, cheating is a deal breaker. Are there any are there any other deal breakers in y'all marriage?
For me, physical, verbal abuse. That would be a deal breaker. Like, my husband has never called me out of my name, and I've never called him out of his name. Right?
I've never called my wife out of her name in 22 years. Ever. Not how many arguments, however mad I've been, she's never been anything but a child of God to me.
That's important though. We laugh, but that is so important because it shows the respect and the value that you have for her. And I tell people all the time, I say, you know what? I never seen a woman who was loved on and valued and respected and appreciated walk away from a man. They are willing to go through the fire with that dude. Do you hear me? Turbulence, hell and high water. But if he's making her feel good and he's treating her right, whatever the disagreements may be, giving her the reassurance, the love, the attention, the affection, she's not leaving that dude. And I know y'all personally, so I know you take care of home. You've always been a hard worker, a dedicated dad, a present husband. So I
Yeah.
know that. And Mrs. Carter, you definitely hold your household down. You make shit run. Like y'all play y'all part. And that's super important. So I want to ask you, um how did you kind of maintain the balance of being individuals but still working as a team? Do y'all have your own separate lives? Do you hang out with the boys? Do you do your girl thing? Are there separate trips? Like, how does that work with maintaining that connection, but also allowing you to have your personal space? Or is there no personal space?
I hang out a lot more than my husband. He's a homebody, which
Mhm.
I love it. You know, as a black man in America, I feel like when he's home, I know he's safe, and I'm always happier when he's home. Um, wherever he's going, I'm aware. You know what I mean? Like there's never any, oh, he was here and there and I didn't know. Like he tells me where he's going. I know when plans are happening, even if it's per the moment. We don't have a leash on each other. You know what I mean? Someone said the other day, we went to an event together and they were like, "You guys drove two separate cars?" And I was like, "Yeah," and they're like, "That's crazy." And I was like, "Why?" And then I got into explaining that my husband, he'll come with me, but he's not someone to stay for long. Okay.
Mm.
And I like to give him that freedom and not have him feel confined to a space that he don't want to be in, that he's not comfortable, or whatever his reasons are to leave. And he's okay with leaving me there because I'm gonna be chatting. Say, for example, I'm going to your house. He's gonna drive his own car because you wanna sit there, you're gonna be chatting and doing all this stuff. I ain't got time for all of that.
I would show up and I would be there to support you,
Yeah.
but when it's time to go, it's time to go.
And I
Back
think
home, I'm going home.
and and that came from him coming out with, oh my goodness, when we first started dating, he would go with me everywhere. If I'm going with my mom, he would be there. If I'm going, at one point, I think I was telling him like, "You don't have to come with us everywhere." He's like, "I don't," and I'm like, "No," because he thought that's what I wanted. You know what I mean? But throughout the years, we create our own rules to that, and I think it happened naturally with the kind of just knowing each other. Like even his mother's house, we drive separate cars because when he's ready and I'm not, I'm sitting there, I'm having a couple of drinks, I'm chatting with the girls. He's done. And his son goes with him too.
She's a talker.
I
She'll sit
am.
there and talk.
She is, but I love that about Mrs. Carter. But you know what else I love that y'all just said though? Is that there's compromise in that. Y'all know each other well enough. He's willing to go. I'm gonna show up for you. I'm gonna be present for you. You're not walking in this alone. But I also know that when I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. You don't stop him from going, he don't make you leave. And
Yes.
y'all found a balance.
Yeah. And we also don't have to show up if we don't want to either. We have those guidelines too, and not be upset. Like, just
Mm.
some stuff I'd be like, come on, and he'll
And I
come.
wasn't always
Mm-hmm.
either.
Hmm.
After COVID, I think I became honestly
More.
I
Yeah.
became a real homebody after that.
Mhm.
But before if it's a basketball tournament, I'm going to the basketball tournament.
Still.
A family cookout, I'm gonna pull up for that. But
Hmm.
I don't need to be out there too much. Ain't much out there.
Good.
And you gonna see your wife when she come home. So
She'll be back.
that
Oh,
means
come back.
I love it. So my next question is for y'all. What's your favorite memory from your years together? Like, what has been a memorable event, a memorable occasion, a memorable time? Like, can you remember a time when your husband or wife did something that really made you be like, that's the reason why I love you?
Honestly, for me, I don't know if it's one thing, but like she said, as far as her love, like the way she showed her love is just when I say household always taken care of, never have to worry about the food on the table, the house being clean, She's a hardworking woman. People, I just see my peoples deal with so much shit that I never had to fathom of dealing with. So I guess just the way that she takes care of the household, I can give her the money. She's gonna make sure the bills are paid. I don't got to worry about none of that. So I guess just the way that she's the glue to the family. I can say that. To me, she's what holds it together. So that constantly is what I would say that I enjoy. But as far as a memory, one thing that really made me happy one time, she sent me to a Cowboys game. I wanted to go, you know what I mean? Finances might have been or whatever they was. I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna go, you know what I mean? We got the stuff to take care of in the house. I'm gonna take care of that. She said, absolutely not. You want to go, you don't go anything. She made sure that I went. That was actually my first football game I went to, and like I said, I truly, that's something I think back on. I truly appreciated that. I needed it and I enjoyed it.
No. So was that the time I seen you and Matt down in Rutherford, Jersey?
Probably, I think.
Yeah,
I think
had
so,
to be,
yeah.
yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Right, because was that your one and only Dallas Cowboys game?
Nah.
Oh, okay, then. So maybe that wasn't the game. Okay, because that was in November, I think. But that's what's up. So you were sacrificing again, compromising for your household, being the man you are. Your wife recognized that and was like, "No, I don't want you to miss out. So I'm gonna make this happen."
Absolutely.
That's so typical of him. That's why he doesn't really do much, because he's always like, nope, I'm good. I don't have to do that. I don't have to do this. And, you can get caught up in the, like, that's good. I could take the money and do this and do that and whatever the case may be, because I be outside, right? Like I do girls weekend. I do, and he's never stopping me from doing it. So whenever I see an opportunity to make him feel special, definitely I try. It's because he's not, he doesn't require a lot besides the touching and all that stuff. Like he doesn't, he don't really ask for a lot. I couldn't buy him anything. Like he always had everything that he wanted and all these different things. And lately I've been a lot better with that. Like, buying him different things and being more creative. I used to get him massages back in the day. Like that was something that I would like milk, because he liked massages. So I would send him to get massages and stuff like that. Some of them were a little weird, and he would come back like, "Oh, that was a little strange."
She sent me to the hood masseuse.
That's not true.
That's
Not true.
No, it wasn't the hood one, but it was. She ain't know about massages, so she don't know that certain massages mean.
Yes.
They're gonna use their body to massage you type shit. So I'm in this shit like, yo, this is.
I
weird.
was on Groupon, okay.
For the downtown Albany.
No.
That was actually Rensselaer. It was in Rensselaer / East Greenbush.
I
It was
had
like
no clue
it was like a
at.
Swedish massage or something, but
yes,
she's straddling me and doing her all over. I'm like, yo, this is a little intense.
I was like, you let her though? He was like, yeah.
You almost got out of there with a happy ending.
Yo, I'm thinking like, damn, how am I get out of here?
I was like, you let her do that to you, babe? He was like, yeah. I'm like,
Miss Carter, what's a favorite memory of your husband?
So Donji, he makes me feel special all the time. He likes to buy me a lot of stuff, I would be like, oh, I need some ear pods, and then all of a sudden I have ear pods or whatever. But there was this weekend that I think it was Labor Day weekend, and he was like, pack a bag, we're going for a ride. And we ended up we didn't go far. We were like in Massachusetts or whatever the case may be. And then he took me shopping, at the outlet. That was that was really nice, and what you call it? Was it last Sunday or like 2 Sundays ago, right? This was magic right here, and this is where like the work comes in, where I was at work getting stuff done on a Sunday, and I like to make dinner on Sundays. I don't cook as much as I used to back in the day, so I'm like, all right. And then he texted me. It was like, is there anything that I can do to help make your day better or something like that? And I was like, you go to the grocery store And I thought it was I can't stop talking about it. So that was more recent.
I'm like, that's weird, but
Like that was so thoughtful, and like, you know, because it's never intentional whenever we slight each other, you know what I mean? And so we're all I get super sad when I find out that I did something that made him upset, or and I'm like, that wasn't even my intention, because I'm so real. I'm such a straight shooter that if I was trying to be intentional, I would. But like, oh no, my bad. I didn't mean that. You know.
Mm.
Um,
Y'all so cute and Tito. So y'all was talking about, the fact that he's a very simple guy. You like to hang out. You might do the girls trip. So he's spending money in the household. You might spend money outside the household. Has there ever been conflict when it comes to spending versus savings, or does basically the fact that each of y'all are hard workers just balance out? Like because finances could sometimes be a point of contention in a relationship. So how do y'all navigate that?
the thing is, one thing about her, she always had her own back. Like, period. One of the most hardest working women I know. Started from the bottom, now she here. Like she always did what she did, so that was never a question. Like, she was never one of them girls that, like I said, as much as I like to buy her stuff, I did that because honestly, it made me feel good. If I'm gonna be real, you know what I mean? She's like, I don't need all that, but it made me feel good to be able to do something to make her happy. But it wasn't that she couldn't have done it for herself.
so and we didn't have like finance issue. I feel like people in general just don't make enough money. Like, you know, like and we've gotten to points in our life sometimes where we just didn't have enough, you know, and we just had to figure it out. We'll sit down together and try to figure out like where we need to get things done, you know what I mean? Whether we need to pick up a second job, whether we need to I've never asked my husband for money and he don't give me. I don't ask him for money, but when I do, if I'm like, oh, you know, we're short here this month or whatever, like he makes it happen, like always. So I really sometimes I don't like to say it because I also feel like I don't want to stress him out because I feel like he handles stress way worse than me, you know. So I'm always like, oh, trying to protect that piece, but because I do manage that stuff, right? So I would say, you know, like we're going to Jamaica, and I texted him today. I was like, you know, I need some more money, and he responded with the right answer. So that was
Okay.
that's how
Come through.
we have maneuver. We could definitely do better with saving, and that's
This
the
ain't about the saving. It's about love.
this this is that's the direction. Having conversations about things and being transparent, you know, with each other um, is what's helping us with everything, including that.
Okay. I love it. Do y'all do joint bank accounts, or y'all separate but equal well, separate, but if you need it, I got it type thing? As somebody who's been married over 2 decades, what has worked for y'all in terms of managing your money?
We haven't had a joint account in years,
Yes.
and I think it just closed. Like, you know, we took all the money out of it and it closed. You know, nothing really happened. I never even thought about that. But I know everything about him, so whatever he got is mine. He don't you know. Um, I don't think he's hiding money from me. Like we never, like I said, we don't have those type of issues. But we haven't had a joint account in years.
Yeah.
In years.
Okay. I want to ask y'all, how do y'all feel about? I don't see divorce in y'all future ever. Y'all definitely give off till
I,
death do us part.
yeah, not
But
I.
how would y'all feel about alimony? Not even for
Hmm.
y'all, just with other couples. Do y'all think that's a thing, or do y'all treat it like child support? Like we could just make this happen. I was once married. You think
Yeah.
about, I know
I
we're winding down last couple of
yeah.
minutes, but right, when you think about couples who've been together all these years and they shared things and they've experienced things, and then they go their own separate ways and it becomes a fight for money. Like I have my own personal opinions about alimony and child support, but
Mhm.
what are y'all thoughts on that?
This is the mother of my children, more than my wife. You know what I'm saying? So if she needed, she got. I mean, it most likely it's for my kids, and it because she want to go get her hair done and her nails done. It's gonna be because it's needed for the kids. So I wouldn't have a problem with it if something like that wasn't happening, whatever was needed would be taken care of.
Mm. Would you feel how do you feel about women who take their husband for alimony? Even they might be a hard worker like you, Mrs. Carter. They might be able to, be self-sufficient and to sustain with assistance from the child father. But there's some women who really will take their man through the ringer just out of bitterness. What's your thoughts on that?
I hate it. I don't like it. I think it's, and the way society is, I feel like typically the woman gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is tough sometimes because you see this stuff and like, oh, they're paying them $500,000 a month. I'm like, $500,000 a month? Like, what to maintain the lifestyle they had before? You better work. I don't know. I ain't big on all that.
I think that the only way I would care about getting money from my ex-husband would be if I have children. I think I would move on. Like, I wouldn't want to have no ties. I wouldn't, maybe because of how I am. Like, I have my own. I would get my own. Like, I'm not gonna have nobody thinking that they're taking care of me, But I do feel that if you have me in the house telling me not to work and have all these kids and all these, whatever, then yeah, bro, you're gonna have to come up off some, at least until I get on my feet, because you done kept me barefoot and pregnant for the last X amount of years, But
I'm more for temporary alimony.
Okay.
Stuff like that, but not for the rest of my life. I'm not gonna have you.
And you're gonna take care of your kids. Period.
That's my.
I don't care. Period.
I think y'all bring up that point though. Like, we are a team still. So my thing is, if I'm a good parent and I'm gonna do for mine regardless, and if you come up short, if you need it, I got it. I'm gonna look out. Then why even get the courts and all that and involved? Let's just handle it amicably because there's no reason to
situation. Please.
I like it. All right. So one more question I want to ask y'all because I want to say, looking back, is there anything you wish you had known about marriage when y'all first started out that you had to learn later on?
I wish that I communicated more early in a marriage and expressed exactly how I felt instead of keeping it in.
Okay.
I wish that I had learned earlier on, ways to keep my husband happy versus, like the love language thing. I wish that I learned that. I feel like, not that our years has been so like terrible, but like, oh, how sweet it would have been, like, not to like see my husband hurting because he thought that, my lack of affection was me not loving him or being attracted to him or anything, because it was so far from the truth. The only man I've ever wanted to be with was him, to the point where I regret anything I've ever done prior to. Like, seriously, like, it don't even exist.
Wow. Didn't even happen.
Didn't happen.
That's so sweet. That is very sweet.
Yes.
So any final parting words? Like, if there's a newlywed couple out there, if there's somebody considering marriage, whether they're young and ripe at 20 or they're, believe in love, any parting advice or words to help sustain so that they could get to decades? Huh?
Talk, communication. Don't go days without talking to each other. Don't do it.
I love that. I would say that, I feel like there's this like stink on marriage, right? Like, people get married, they get divorced. It's just like nobody wants to put in the work and all these different things. Like, true love is out there. You knew the signs before you got up in there. You knew he wasn't nothing, or you knew she wasn't, so you shouldn't have gotten married. You know what I mean? Like, so true love is still out there, and it don't have to be what others may think it is, but it's what you want it to be and what you think it is. Marriage still works. I'm still madly in love with my husband and want to spend the rest of my life with him. So,
I do want one final question. It could be yes or no. Do you think, Mr. Carter, if Mrs. Carter wasn't willing to compromise and change to meet your needs, and Mrs. Carter, if Mr. Carter wasn't willing to change and meet your needs, do you think y'all would be sitting here as a couple today? Does it take two, or could one have held on for the both of y'all?
So if both of us wanted it, and if neither one of us was willing to make the changes, we wouldn't have been sitting here today. No.
I love it. And y'all sitting here today, y'all amongst me, y'all amongst all my love bugs, all my sentimentally speaking supporters, and y'all still are in love here in 2024 as y'all were back in 2006. Did I get that number right?
2006, yes.
2006. And I am so grateful for y'all taking the time out. I know, like, this can be intimidating for people, but I always appreciate when my people share their time and their space with me because I enjoy having these conversations. And I know for a fact that somebody listening is going to be impacted positively by this. So thank y'all for y'all openness, y'all honesty, y'all transparency, y'all vulnerability. It's been a pleasure speaking with y'all today.
Yeah,
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Of course. And to my love bugs, y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all chose to be here with me today in the Carters. So thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all take care. God bless and good night.
Peace.